What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network Sixers pregame live. I am very excited to be here with all of you today. It's been a very long day for me, at least. First day back in person in school. Interesting day, to say the least. Started off with the gym class at 7:30, so I'm nothing short of exhausted, but I'm excited to be here. We got another late night for the Sixers, the last of the Western leg of this road trip. Of course, they go to Cleveland this weekend. But before we get started with that, as always, alongside my co-host, Gavin, Tony. Gavin, how are you doing today?
Zach, I'm doing great. Listen, I'm exhausted too. And ladies and gentlemen, I didn't go to school. I don't go to in-person school. Zach, I don't know what that is anymore. But listen, I'm exhausted. UConn got the win yesterday, so I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. We'll get into that controversial at the end. Zach, you know how I feel about it. But Zach, how are you doing today, besides being tired?
Look, I'm doing good. Excited for the Sixers to get started. For first of all, of course, the only game on the NBA right now is the Washington Wizards and Charlotte Hornets, which are just coming out of halftime. Russell Westbrook trying to back up an amazing performance that he had last night. 21 assists, I think 14 boards and 30-plus points. It's crazy. Just looking at it now, they are just trailing 74-77. The stats for Russell Westbrook already had a triple-double in the third quarter, 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists. It's just too easy for him at this point. It's not really a surprise to see him putting up the numbers like he is right now.
Zach, the sad thing is, those are cool and all in the stats. Zach, he's done 20 and 20 before in another category, but that doesn't matter. All right, your team's not, in playoff contention. Now, if this was the MVP season and he did that, or he did do that in his MVP season or the year after, I would make noise about it, but it doesn't matter. It looks cool in the stat sheet, though, I'll be honest. And I like Brody. I like Russell Westbrook. Zach, and on this show, we know who the real Russell Westbrook fan is, not high fans. Zach, I know you don't like Russell Westbrook that much, but it is impressive what he is doing. He makes sure those look easy and really easy.
Yeah, I don't know how him, James Harden, a couple other guys, Ben Simmons even just recording 10-plus assists a night. Like it's nothing, but we'll continue with our conversation from yesterday to start off for those who may or may not have had a chance to watch it. Got pretty heated between Gavin and myself as we talked about the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers. We mostly focused on the Nets yesterday. We are going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers today. Before that, though, we do have some relatively fresh news. Michael Rappaport, a name which has been thrown around in the sports world, some favorable, some very unfavorable, released today some direct messages from Kevin Durant threatening him and his wife. A couple of other issues. We know Kevin Durant has had his issues on social media, whether it be through his actual account or his burner account. He seems not to care at this point. Gavin, I've been saying this from the start of the season. This does pretty much fit with our conversation we're having today. This has nothing to do with the play Kevin Durant has on the court. First of all, I don't even know when he's going to be back on the court. It's been quite a while, and I think it's hamstring right now he's dealing with. But with that being said, this is not a good look for Kevin Durant. I've said from the beginning of the year the Nets have to not self-destruct. The question is, will this have any impact on him? Will the league investigate this at all, or will this be swept under the rug? Gavin, I'll start with you.
Zach, he says some things that, that aren't going to fly. Zach, we know what the comments are, but let's be honest. It's coming from Michael Rappaport, all right? And for those who don't know who Michael Rappaport is, he's suing Barstool over a T-shirt. I mean, Zach, no disrespect to Michael Rappaport, but I can't remember the last movie he was in. I think the last movie that I remember him being in was in Friday. Zach, one of the Fridays. If you haven't seen Fridays, I like one of my favorite movies. He was in Friday, and it was only for like a split couple seconds. So I'm not really worried about it. Now, what Kevin Durant was saying was a little bit alarming. It's like I don't think it's too serious for the league to get involved or anything. Because did it happen? No, I don't think so. But also too, why is Michael Rappaport right? And here's what I'm trying to understand. We heard Kevin Durant's side, right? We heard Kevin Durant came out and apologized, right? But where's Michael Rappaport saying this? Where's his statement? Where's you can't just drop, you can't just drop news on somebody else out of a random time and then not give your statement. You know what I mean? It's like I'm waiting for the official Rappaport statement because in the screenshots, what it won't show you is what Rappaport said first.
Remember, yeah, responses, of course.
Rappaport said the first response, and if you know Kevin Durant, him and the media, Zach, that they don't mix. All right, they don't mix with all. It's when it comes back to him being asked about free agency and some other things, and people calling him soft and a snake. We know Kevin Durant likes to stick up for his inner person, his character. What he said, I'm not going to sit here and say what he said was correct. But once again, you got it's a cause and effect. What was said to lead to that? But was it worth that much of a response? That's what you got to think about.
Well, keep it to this. Justin Thomas, the golfer, was caught using a slur on the green of a empty golf course a couple weeks ago. Polo dropped their sponsorship with him a few days later. We know the Myers Leonard situation, not comparing the two, but there were some slurs used in, at least from the report I'm reading on Bleacher Report right now, that may have not been shown in the original post today. But there were some things that Kevin Durant had said that some other players in different situations, if this had been said by a guy like Bryson DeChambeau, he'd be off the tour for a few weeks. So I don't think it should be swept under the rug again. The credibility is there. I'm not sure anyone's denying that it was Kevin Durant that sent that, but I don't know how much it will be looked into, but it's just something to keep an eye on. It's not a big story, at least right now, from what we're seeing. Of course, it was big enough for us to have to bring it up today. But I don't know. This is just one of those things where when you get to a certain point in the NBA, you do have this kind of immunity, to say the least. I think that Durant owes the entire NBA world a statement, and it shouldn't be swept under the rug. Take it as you will. I'm not going to defend either side. I don't know enough on this case. I'm just reporting the news honestly. It is definitely a situation that's tricky because we don't have a statement from Rappaport. We don't have more information from him. I don't even know where his credibility comes from. Again, he was fresh off suing Barstool. I really didn't know who this guy was until today, if I'm being honest with you. But
after the show, I can tell you all about Michael Rappaport. It's just
because I know too briefly, it seems like he's got a few very strong political views in some different areas. He's got some other things that he seems to be a very vocal person. And whether you agree with someone who is very vocal or not, I read some things I agree with on his page, and I read some things I heavily disagree with on his page today. And you're going to get responses. Kevin Durant, this is social media talk. This is the kind of smack talk that you would expect between two people, I'd say, in different situations, if that makes sense, but not something that professional athletes should be saying to another professional. And I think that there needs to be action. Maybe not. I don't think the NBA needs to get involved, but I think that Kevin Durant does need to issue a statement addressing this, and I think he will in the coming days.
I feel like Zach and me being a big Kevin Durant fan, I'm not going to, stand by with the words that were said. Zach, I don't stand for that. You're right. He is a professional athlete, but he needs to be held to a higher standard. But also, too, you got to remember, they are people at the end of the day. People do have buttons that will be pushed. Like I said, Zach, I got to see what was the offset. I got to hear the official statement from Kevin Durant, and I hear what Rappaport says. I got to hear both sides. But as of right now, if you're looking at it right now, it doesn't look good for Kevin Durant. It's not to the point where you're going to X him out the league or anything, or brands going to stop following him. That I know of, Zach. I mean, like I said, we're going to find a little bit more. But as of right now, it doesn't look too good, Kevin Durant.
I mean, that's just the unfortunate reality. But these players, for them, they hold a certain level of immunity as far as some room that they have to work with as far as some of these things. But Durant's got to be better if he's going to be. You sit here and you watch some of his MVP speech or the kind of player he is, or Gaven, as you adamantly defend him on a day-to-day basis as a player, and respect where it's due. He's one of the best scorers of all time that the game has ever seen. But it's also crucial to acknowledge and point out when someone's done something wrong, call balls and strikes on all sides. And this is one of the situations that we anticipate hearing more from him on. But again, that question does bring us back to the Brooklyn Nets. And as we wanted to chime in on Gavin, I know you have one more thing you want to say on this. But before that, we will be getting into the Los Angeles Lakers here in just a minute. And are they officially a super team? But before that, Gavin, any final statements?
Yeah, it's like when she's like what you said, I defend the player, or I can't really defend the person because Zach, I don't know the person. And Kevin Durant, the person, we've seen flashes of it here on social media here and there. Burner account, real account, fake account. I don't know what you want to call it. Zach, like I said, this does not look good. But we got to hear official statements from both sides. So, but yes, Zach, I still believe he's the best player in the game.
Quite possibly. Let's shift it over to who the other arguably best player in the league is, and LeBron James, who, of course, is sidelined with a high ankle sprain right now. But let's talk about it. They just acquired Andre Drummond. He'll be making his debut tomorrow. He was having quite a good year in Cleveland. Of course, he was traded there from Detroit last year, signed an extension with them, and then got a buyout this year. I'm kind of confused on how that all went down, how he went from being the future of the franchise in Cleveland to being out of there less than a year later. But, Gavin, the Lakers answered to the Nets' desire to continue to gather former stars. I talked about yesterday how I think they're going to fall short because their entire team is nothing but guys who always fall short. However, let's talk about the team that didn't fall short last year and won the NBA title in the Los Angeles Lakers, adding Andre Drummond. Gavin, what are your thoughts on them adding another good rebounding defensive big?
The Lakers just ruined the West. As this comment says, thumbs down to LeBron James. Listen, Zach, Brooklyn added former stars. Let's listen to this. Former stars and Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. Zach, Blake Griffin didn't want to be in Detroit. In Detroit, Zach, who wants to be in Detroit? I mean, it's cold all the time, all right? We know that. You go from LA to Detroit, I'll be depressed too. But Zach, he didn't want to be there, but that's all right. All right, he's only averaged 19 points, but he's not averaging the 20 he used to back in LA. Zach, LaMarcus Aldridge is nice, but he only averages 13 this year, and he only played in some odd games. Andre Drummond is averaging 17 and 12. Zach, that is a better than what Brooklyn added. He's better than what Brooklyn added because he's going to grab your rebounds and he's going to put it right back up. And Zach, he is the defensive presence that any team in the NBA could ask for. In my honest opinion, Zach, one of the best rebounding centers in the game, hands down. There's no doubt about it. One of the best rebounding centers just went and joined, once again, LeBron James, ruining the league as always. He went to the Lakers, and now we're looking at a chance where, once again, LeBron James ruined the league by joining up with All-Stars. And Zach, before I hand it off to you, because I see you shaking your head, let's be honest. Before LeBron James went to Miami, right? Before LeBron James went to Miami, I said this to you yesterday. Before LeBron James went to Miami, you didn't really hear about stars when they team up with one another. The NBA was balanced and fair. Okay, Boston had it first, but they were more on the end side of their careers. You know, Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, they were Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, they were on kind of like their way out almost, as you want to say. And Rajon Rondo was young and Kendrick Perkins was young and Paul Pierce was relatively fair. LeBron James goes to a healthy D-Wade at the time, brings Chris Bosh with him, and he goes to South Beach and starts the Big Three movement. That starts the team up, the super team movement. So I don't want to hear anything about what Brooklyn did. Yes, Zach, James Harden, but if you want to talk about, well, Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, they're not, I don't want to say they're nobodies, but Zach, they're not what they used to be. Now, this is Blake Griffin for LA. I'll give you that. If this is LaMarcus Aldridge from Portland in his early days in San Antonio, I'll give you that. But they're not. Andre Drummond is still pretty darn good, and the last time I checked, he still can give any guy like Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic or Miles or any other center in the league problems defensively and offensively, more defense because that's a specialty. I mean, Zach, the Lakers really got the better win in the buyout market. They just ruined in my opinion, they ruined the West just like that.
I don't think a move like that is that significant. Listen,
it's a big deal.
Brooklyn Nets are a super team. That is a blunt fact. Everywhere you look, that team is top tier. Point guard, yes, I'm going to call Kyrie Irving the point guard, which he is. Top 3 point guard in the league. James Harden, best shooting guard in the league this year. I don't think there's any debating that. Kevin Durant, one of the best players, Gavin. He was your pick for MVP before the year. Obviously, he's doing a lot of great things.
I have to change that.
DeAndre Jordan on that team as well. LaMarcus Aldridge comes in, Blake Griffin, Nicholas Claxton, Jeff Green, and, of course, Joe Harris. Every single one of those players could be a starter on any team in the NBA. That team is a super team. Let's look at the Los Angeles Lakers. And again, I'm not denying that the Andre Drummond acquisition is really good. However, this is my point. Who are their guards? What is the guard for? Not everywhere you look. Everywhere you look is all around superstar superb. Let's talk about the superstars on this team. We go superstars, stars, and former stars. We'll categorize it like that. Okay? Superstars. LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Brooklyn Nets superstars. Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant. Can we agree on that? Can we agree that one team is 3 superstars and one is 2? Now let's talk about stars. Guys like Joe Harris and guys like Jeff Green, maybe at most. Not even. I'd say let's say Joe Harris, and that's probably it for them. And then now let's take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers stars. Andre Drummond's even pushing calling him a star. Maybe Dennis Schroeder, but that's pushing it. And then let's talk about the role players. Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge versus Dennis Schroeder, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. These guys are
I don't want to hear that.
These guys are nice pieces in Los Angeles, but let's be real here. You're saying that the Lakers ruined the West. I don't hear you complaining about the Nets in the East. That is hypocritical, in my opinion. The Brooklyn Nets have ruined basketball this year. The Brooklyn Nets have ruined basketball this year. They are a super team. The Lakers got another piece, but that is nowhere near what has happened up south of Manhattan this year. Let's get that straight right now. The reason for that is because James Harden went there and they barely touched anything. You have the former three-point percentage leader in Joe Harris. Your guy, Kevin Durant, went out and got all of this talent on his team. And you're trying to tell me that acquiring Andre Drummond, the only guy that acquired this season, the Nets have acquired James Harden this season. They re-signed Joe Harris in the offseason, and they've acquired Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. And you're trying to compare that LeBron going out being led GM and getting Andre Drummond. The guard play is so superior in Brooklyn than it is down in Los Angeles. The Lakers should be the favorite to win the West right now because of how great LeBron is. But at the end of the day, I'll keep it simple. They are not a super team the way the Brooklyn Nets are. They're not even the same way that that team in South Beach was. And I'll say that until the grave, honestly. That is exactly how it is right now. This is a team in Los Angeles that is good. That is great. The defending champions that have gotten better in the offseason. They went younger at guard. They have a little more experience now, and they got themselves a really good rebounding big that they replaced from JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. However, in Brooklyn, they just went out and got themselves a top 3 player. James Harden last year was playing top 3, top 4 level. Everyone knows that. Best shooting guard in the game, and he was on the move, and they didn't even touch a single all-star doing that. And now they go out and get Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge for the bench.
But you're making it seem like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin are going to come out and beat you. They're not. Does Blake Griffin's knees even work? They barely do. Zach, I came on the show, right? And I told you, I said, Blake Griffin is not that guy that he used to be anymore. No one fears Blake Griffin.
They have 3 All-Stars on that team.
Listen, I'll give you LaMarcus Aldridge to a certain point because LaMarcus Aldridge can still shoot the 3 ball. And Blake Griffin, I don't know what he could do. He just started dunking.
He did 17 the other night.
But listen, Andre Drummond, right? Andre Drummond, you're talking about a guy that's still young, that can still grab rebounds, that can still score.
That's not the same thing as acquiring James Harden, Marcus Aldridge, and Blake Griffin.
But Zach, that won't matter because, once again, Zach, that will not matter if a guy like Andre Drummond is standing in the post. James Harden is not going to come down there. And I mean, well, the game is solved, so maybe he still might come down there. But guys, now you're forcing them to shoot. You're forcing them to shoot. And you're telling me in a one-on-one matchup.
You're telling me that Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden can't beat a team by shooting?
Hold on. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, and hold on. You're telling me that Blake Griffin is going to pose a big threat to Andre Drummond? Is that what I'm hearing? You're telling me that LaMarcus Aldridge is going to cause a big threat to Andre Drummond? Hold on, wait a minute. And let's not forget, Dennis Schroeder is no scrub. No scrub. All right. Picks you up as soon as you get the ball. He picks you up all across. A defensive pest. He's not no Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen on the on-ball defense, but he deserves his respect here and there. Zach, what was the first thing you said to me when AD went out? Well, there's no Dennis Schroeder there either. So you get Dennis Schroeder and you start winning games. Zach, Dennis Schroeder can score the ball when needed to. And
good role player, but no.
I don't want to hear about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and throw the pity party about how bad he is some days. And Kyle Kuzma wants to airball every shot he sees. It's like, I don't want to hear that. The bottom line is this. When you got a guy, Andre Drummond, that changes a lot of things. A lot of things. All right, and the fact that he hasn't played that many games either, and he should be motivated to be there and probably wants to be there, that can change a lot of things. It's like the 3 superstars in Brooklyn does not match up. I get that. Would not match up against the 3 stars in LA because they're 2 different magnitudes. But the supporting cast outside of just in the buyout market, if you talk about Andre Drummond versus Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, I want Andre Drummond all day. I really do. Zach, once again, I'll say it again. The Lakers just ruined the West.
Series to 7. Brooklyn Nets, Los Angeles Lakers. Gavin, who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with Brooklyn in 5.
You're rolling with Brooklyn despite the fact that you just said Andre Drummond would take care of their 2 role players that they just brought in.
Of course. But guess what? Kevin Durant
Which team is more talent? Which team is more talent?
What team is more talented? Los Angeles is more talented because they got Anthony Davis that does it all.
I think you're letting the LeBron block because you're trying to see how I can corner you. Look, take LeBron out of it. Look, the Brooklyn Nets are undeniably more talented than the Los Angeles Lakers, and when the Lakers beat the Nets this year in the finals, you'll be able to see why LeBron really deserves the respect that he does. But with that being said, we do have to go and, of course, talk about some Sixers pregame live.
Hold on, 2 minutes. Just a second.
But Gavin, yes, take
deserve. What does he deserve? What does he deserve? Zach, you're going into an MVP race that he has no business in being in.
Never said that, but you're over here saying he's not top 5.
In today's game right now, and MVP race, he's not top 5 right now in the MVP.
No, overall, best players of all time. You said before he's not top 3, he's not top 5. You've mixed it up quite a bit.
Well, guess what, Zach? I stand by it. Not top. Look, he's not coming in high on my list. All right, I can name 5 better players than him, so that's all right.
That will have to be saved for a different day because we do have some Sixers pregame live to come up on. We hope you all enjoyed our debate, back-to-back days, getting a good debate. Coming up after this, the Sixers and the Denver Nuggets. The Sixers without Joel Embiid tonight, still without George Hill, but the rest of the squad seems to be healthy. We'll be getting some predictions, picks, and more after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. Back-to-back days debating the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Gavin, floor is yours for a split second here as you address some comments in the comment section.
First of all, I should be ashamed about talking to the king. Tell him to stop crying every time there's a foul call. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's not king. That's being a crybaby. I don't know. In medieval time, with a jester, I don't know. I'm not good with the medieval stuff. I didn't pass that part of history. But Zach, listen, I stand where I stand. LeBron James is not all that. And you put him in the 90s, he wouldn't survive. Zach, let's talk Sixers.
Let's do it. For those who may or may not remember, the Sixers entered COVID protocols when Seth Curry tested positive back in January, taking Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and a few others out of that game. Tyrese Maxey dropped 39 in their 13-point loss to the Denver Nuggets in Philadelphia tonight. They're up in Mile High, up against the MVP candidate Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and that entire squad. Of course, Aaron Gordon, who was in his second game as a member of the Denver Nuggets. A couple of other notables tonight, 76ers, Joel Embiid and George Hill are both out. For the Nuggets, Monte Morris is out for them. This is going to be a close game tonight because even though the Sixers don't always close the door against good teams without Joel Embiid in the lineup, they are able to keep it close. They've been at least. They've not been getting blown out. They've been learning to win without Embiid, which is crucial. Joel Embiid is expected to be back hopefully by next week. No estimated timeline yet, but Doc Rivers says he's improving every day. Gavin, what are some of your early thoughts here on the game tonight?
The Sixers are going to have to get it all from Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons, and someone else is going to have to help them. They're going to need a third person. All right, I don't know if it's going to be Danny Green or it's going to be Tyrese Maxey off the bench. It's going to be Shake Milton, but they need a third person. Zach, you're going against another full, healthy team besides one person. But the starting 5 is there. They got Porter Jr., they got Aaron Gordon, they got Jokic, they got Barton, they got Jamal Murray. You're going to have to get points. If you're the Sixers, you're going to get points from somebody else. 2 players going to be over 20 plus, one maybe over 30 plus, and you're going to get someone to give you 15 or 20. That's 3 scores if you win a chance. Zach, this is like running into Saturday all over again versus the Clippers, where once again, you go up against another full healthy team and you are unhealthy because you're down your star player, you're down your superstar.
Without a doubt, that's kind of what puts this team over the edge. We will take a look now at what this game could mean tonight. Brooklyn Nets not playing tonight. 76ers are a half game up over them, 3 games up over the Bucks. And then everything scatters off from there in this order. Charlotte Hornets at 4, Knicks, Hawks, Celtics, Heat, and then, of course, Pacers and Bulls on the outside looking in at the 9 and 10 seeds, respectively. Toronto Raptors also being the notable fall off in the last week. They're 3-7. I'm sorry, they're 1-9 in their last 10, and they're on a 3-game losing streak. In the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz hold a 3.5-game lead over the Phoenix Suns. Clippers at 3, Lakers at 4, and then here's where the Denver Nuggets stand 7-3 in their last 10. 2-game winning streak for them, and they are a 13-9 at home, well below the league average. So winning in Denver will not be the toughest order for the Sixers tonight. For me, the keys are for Ben Simmons to be a scorer. That's how it's going to be until Embiid comes back. Possibly Danny Green, Seth Curry have another big night. And Dwight Howard, please don't get ejected.
I don't blame him for that.
Been ejected a couple of times now in the last week. Don't get ejected.
I don't blame him.
Don't give the refs any window opening whatsoever in order to give you an ejection whatsoever. The Lakers one was BS, but the Clippers one was not much you can blame on.
Zach, I wasn't aware of the Clippers ejections, but going back to the Lakers one, I don't blame Dwight Howard for that one. That's just how soft the game is, all right? Someone walks into you and you kind of, shove them a little bit, and all of a sudden it's your fault. I don't get it. But, Zach, my keys to the next game is too simple as Zach. One, Ben Simmons has to be a scorer. I agree with you, and you're going to get somebody else other than Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons to be scorers. But defensively, you got to make someone else other than Nikola Jokic beat you. Nikola Jokic cannot be doing whatever he wants. He can't just sit there and set up his guys in perfect ways. Get someone like Jamal Murray or the newcomer Aaron Gordon to beat you. That's your only way if you're going to win tonight. If Nikola Jokic is having a 30-point triple-double or 40-point triple-double or whatever amount of points with a triple-double he has, you're going to lose the game. You have to be able to defend Nikola Jokic and limit him to little amount of things he could do and have a guy like Jamal Murray could beat you. Zach, I know Jamal Murray went off in the bubble, but it hasn't really been the same since it's been regular business in the NBA. So that's if the Sixers get someone else to beat you and have someone else help score.
Got to lock them down early, and if they are, I think it will be a slow game to start out. Tonight's over-under is 220.5. I'm going to go with the under. I think it's going to be a really tight game in the low 100s. The Sixers just have to be able to explode on offense. That's kind of the key. Someone's got to get hot for them. And I think tonight it's Seth Curry. Maybe Danny Green can continue to do what he's been doing for this team because he's been the unsung hero as of late. The Sixers are having a very successful road trip, 3-1 so far. Only loss, of course, to the Los Angeles Clippers. No shame in that without Joel Embiid. And finally tonight, Gavin, let's get to it. It is our game picks coming up after this.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
Back here on the More Than Philly Sports Network, Sixers pregame live, 76ers and Denver Nuggets. Gavin, game picks, our predictions, of course, the over-under sitting at 220.5. I took the under for tonight. Let's hear your game picks for this game.
Zach, as much as it pains me to say, I have to roll with the Denver Nuggets tonight. Like I said, it's going to be another situation when you run into a fully healthy team. You go 3-1 on a West Coast trip, and you end up going 3-2. I'll be okay with that. You wasn't, favored to win those last 2 games anyway without Joel Embiid, so I'll take it. So I'm going with the Nuggets tonight.
Possibly could see the 76ers come out of the 1 seed for the first time all season tomorrow. I also take Denver Nuggets, and I'll take them 110-104. I think they hold it comfortably for the majority of the way, and then at the end, the Sixers do go on a little run. But it will not be enough, and then, of course, that will make the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets even on their record and even on the standings. Brooklyn Nets play the Houston Rockets tomorrow night at home. That is most likely going to be a win for them, which would put them a half game up over the Sixers before they face Cleveland on Thursday. So that's expected what we're looking at. We will continue to cover it. With that being said, about 5 minutes to tip off here. Dwight Howard expected to be in the starting lineup. The rest of the starters are per usual. Tobias Harris, Danny Green, Seth Curry, and Ben Simmons. And on the opposing guard is the only position in question for them with Monte Morris out. But it is going to be expected to be Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., the newcomer Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, and of course that final position subject to change as the final lineups come out. With that being said, live from Denver tonight, we're going to send it off to Mark Zumov, Al Abdenabi as they continue to announce and break down this great Sixers season we've had so far. Hoping for a surprise tonight as both Gavin and myself have both chosen the Denver Nuggets to take away the win tonight.
And the under. I do have the under tonight, Zach.
Taking the under as well. It's going to be hopefully a good defensive game. We'll see if Nikola Jokic really is worth that MVP talks because he does pass the ball quite well. Apparently that's really a big thing for the center that they've held over Joel Embiid for quite some time. But Embiid expected to return to the lineup sooner than later. We can't wait for it. We'll be here to report it every step of the way. With that being said as well, with 7 minutes left in the game, a 7-point lead for the Charlotte Hornets. Even without LaMelo Ball, they continue to hold their own. Possibly could have a healthy LaMelo in the playoffs. Again, we'll cover that and more as we cover the NBA and more Phillies 2 days away from opening day. I'll leave it on that note because I know Gavin doesn't want to talk about it too much. Thank you again, everybody, for watching us. We hope you enjoyed the game tonight, and we'll see you all soon.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we